Welcome, everyone, to another episode of 8 Minutes of Ew, the place where we use curiosity and science to turn fear into fascination and those ews into oohs. By the way, I'm your host, Miss Mallory, the curious conservationist and self-proclaimed grossologist. Let's get started. Have you ever scraped your knee and got a scab? Ever wonder what that scab was made of? Or what was actually going on under that crusty layer of grossness? Well, you've come to the right place, because today we're sliding into the science behind nature's bandaids. We'll be investigating how scabs form, what they're made of, and all the microscopic magic going on that you can't see. We've all done it, right? Tripped, slipped, crashed, crushed, stumbled, or even fallen at least once in our lives. Accidents happen, and our body is ready to repair. When the largest organ in our body, our skin, gets damaged enough to reach the very small blood vessels underneath, the blood vessels get injured and you begin to bleed a little. Now, if the top layer of skin doesn't break, then the blood collects under the skin and a bruise is formed. Let's take a second to talk about bruises, and then we'll jump right back into scabs. Have you ever noticed bruises change color over time? That's because the body is fixing the bruise by breaking down and reabsorbing the blood. You can actually guess the age of the bruise based on its color. In the beginning, the bruise appears to be red because the blood that is appearing is just underneath the skin. Within the first 5 days, the bruise turns to a bluish purple or even black color. Between the next 5 to 10 days, the bruise usually becomes slightly green or even yellow. Then, after about 10 or 14 days, the damage has been repaired and the leaked blood is almost fully absorbed, leaving just a faint yellowish brown or light brown color. Pretty interesting, right? Okay, back to scabs, but let's recap. So if the top layer of skin doesn't break, then the blood from the damaged blood vessels become a bruise. But if the top layer of skin is accidentally scraped away, then the blood comes to the surface and begins to slowly ooze out. But don't fear, your body's healing army is near. When you get a cut, special blood cells called platelets spring into action. Platelets stick together like glue at the cut, forming sort of a plug. We call it a clot. This clot is like a protective bandage over your cut that keeps more blood and other fluids from leaking out. This clot is also full of other blood cells and thread-like stuff called fibrin that help hold the clot together. In addition to the platelets and fibrin, your body also uses dead skin cells. Gross, right? As everything begins to dry, they form a crusty protective barrier over a wound to keep out bacteria and other nasty invaders. Although it looks gross and may feel awkward, when a scab forms, it's usually a sign that your wound is healing. Once the body has stopped the bleeding and created its protective force field, it can begin its microscopic magic and begin to heal. This happens in 3 steps. Step 1, battling the bad guys. Step 2, rebuilding the cells. And step 3, strengthening the barrier. Let's break down each one of these steps because it's pretty amazing what our bodies can do. In the first step of healing, after the scab has been created, your body wants to send as many infection fighters to the area as it can. There may be dirt and germs that your body doesn't want, so fresh blood brings the perfect mix of wound-healing warriors to the scene. Oxygen, nutrients, and white blood cells called macrophages storm in to fight any infection that might be around. They also send out chemical messengers called growth factors that help repair the area as they clean. Now you might see some clear fluid in and around the wound. This means white blood cells are at work defending and rebuilding. Even though a lot of good is going on, all this battling and repairing can cause redness, swelling, warmth to the touch, and sometimes a little bit of pain. During this stage, I sometimes feel like my wound has its own heartbeat because I can feel it pulsating. But I know it's just my body sending in the troops. Once the wound is clean and stable, your body is ready to move on to the next step, rebuilding. Your wound becomes a construction site and your body makes its own building materials. The new cells aren't strong by themselves. They need something to hold them together and also allow them to stretch and move. So your body begins making connective tissue called collagen. Your body loves making this stuff. It's found in bones, muscles, tendons, and you got it, your skin.
Even though it may be tough not to pick at your scab, you really don't want to. If you pick or pull at the scab, you can undo the repair and rip the skin. If your hands are dirty, then you may push bacteria and other gross stuff into your wound and even cause an infection, which means it may take longer for your scab to heal. Now that would be a bummer.
In the final stage, your scab may finally fall off and unveil a fresh, raised red scar. Now, even though your wound looks closed and repaired, it's still healing. As your body strengthens the new skin, you may feel some tightness or even itchiness in the area. When the wound has completely healed, the scar will have faded in color, flattened, and look more like the rest of your skin. But be patient, because this process can take anywhere from a few months to a few years. So there you have it, the gross and cool science of scabs. Now that you know all about them, you can impress your friends with your knowledge the next time one of these protective force fields form. Remember that it's very important to tell an adult when you get a wound and how you got it. Some wounds can be treated with soap, water, and some ointment, but other wounds may need a little extra help to heal, and a doctor or nurse would be the best person for the job. Well, my aspiring grossologists, my 8 minutes are up. But before I go, I wanted to ask a favor. Your feedback fuels this program.
So if this episode changed the way you looked at scabs, or maybe you have your own fascinating but gross topic to talk about, please let me know.
And all you have to do is click on the link in the show notes. Easy as that. Thanks again for joining me, and set those notifications so you don't miss the next 8 minutes of ew. Until next time, everyone, this is Miss Mallory inviting you to step outside and adventure. Thanks. Bye.